Alright, picture this. Thousands of years ago, before GPS, before compasses, people were already crossing vast, dangerous oceans. Sounds impossible, right? But somehow, ancient sailors managed to explore, trade, and connect whole continents, long before Google Maps was even a twinkle in anyone's eye. So, how did they do it? Was it just luck, or did they have their own secret science? Let's dive into the genius behind ancient navigation. First, let's talk evidence. Archaeologists have found shipwrecks, ancient port cities, and even trade goods that traveled thousands of miles. Polynesians reached Hawaii by boat, Egyptians traded across the Red Sea, and the Phoenicians basically ruled the Mediterranean. No GPS, no compass, just pure skill and knowledge passed down through generations. Now the secret weapon, the sky. At night, ancient sailors read constellations like Orion and, most importantly, the North Star, Polaris. Polaris doesn't move, so it's like a cosmic signpost pointing north. By memorizing how different stars rose and set, these navigators could hold their course and even figure out their latitude. Imagine reading the sky as if it were your own celestial map. How cool is that? But what about during the day? The sun became their guide. The angle of shadows revealed the time and direction. Some ancient sailors may have used simple tools like a gnomon, a stick in the ground, or maybe even sunstones to locate the sun through clouds. Using these tricks, they could estimate their latitude or keep track of time, all with nothing but sunlight and shadows. Now here's where it gets wild: the ocean itself. Polynesian navigators could actually feel the direction of swells and waves under their boats. By lying down and sensing the sway, they detected distant islands or changes in current, sometimes hundreds of miles away. That's like having a sixth sense for the sea. And it wasn't just the water. Birds were also a sailor's best friend. Some seabirds fly out to hunt in the morning, then return to land at night. By watching their flight paths, sailors could estimate where land was hiding beyond the horizon. Even dolphins, whales, or floating debris were clues that land was near, or that currents were changing. Clouds gave away secrets, too. Towering clouds often formed over islands, so spotting one on the horizon could mean land was ahead. The color of the sky and the way light danced on the waves were all part of the ancient navigator's toolkit. Last but not least, they used a method called dead reckoning. By keeping track of their speed, direction, and time on the water, sailors made mental maps of their journeys. When you combine that with wind patterns and the stars, it's surprisingly accurate, even without any gadgets. All this knowledge wasn't written in books. Instead, it lived in stories, chants, and songs, memorized and passed down from one generation to the next. So next time you check your GPS, remember, ancient sailors navigated whole oceans with nothing but their senses and their wits. Far from primitive, they were master scientists, true explorers whose legacy still guides us today, even if it's hidden behind a digital screen. But the story doesn't end with instincts and the stars. Ancient mariners also engineered clever tools to sharpen their navigation. Let's take a closer look at some of their secret weapons. First up, the astrolabe. While its origins are debated, this ancient device became a navigator's best friend by the Middle Ages. With it, sailors could measure the angle between the horizon and a star, usually Polaris, to estimate their latitude. Imagine holding a small brass disc up to the night sky, and suddenly, you know how far north or south you are. Then there's the kamal, a simple rectangle of wood used by Arab sailors. By lining it up with the horizon and the North Star, they could gauge their position with surprising accuracy. No batteries required, just a steady hand and practice. Let's not forget the Chinese invention of the magnetic compass. By the 11th century, Chinese sailors were using floating lodestones to point the way north, even when clouds hid the stars. The compass slowly made its way west, changing navigation forever. Some cultures even built incredible memory maps. Polynesian stick charts, for example, used woven sticks and shells to represent islands and the paths of ocean swells. These weren't just maps, they were living tools memorized and interpreted by skilled navigators. All these inventions show that ancient sailors weren't just following their gut, they were innovating, experimenting, and building the first navigation technologies. Each tool was a step closer to mastering the unknown, and their legacy lives on in every compass and GPS we use today. But where did these ancient tools and instincts take their users? To the very edges of the known world, and sometimes far beyond. In this chapter, we journey into the legendary voyages and lost routes that shaped maritime history. Picture Phoenician traders sailing out of the Mediterranean, braving the Atlantic's uncertainty in search of tin and silver. or Norse explorers navigating icy waters to reach Greenland and perhaps the shores of North America centuries before Columbus. In the Pacific, Polynesian navigators set out across thousands of miles of open ocean, guided by the stars, wind, and the rhythm of the waves. Their double-hulled canoes carried them from island to island, forging a vast network across Oceania. Some routes became legends, whispered about in distant ports, like the fabled Silk Road of the Sea connecting China to Africa and beyond. Others vanished, lost to time, but hinted at in ancient shipwrecks and mysterious artifacts found far from home. Each of these journeys was a leap of faith and a testament to human curiosity. Driven by trade, exploration, and sometimes sheer survival, ancient mariners dared to cross horizons others thought uncrossable. Their voyages remind us, every map we know today was once a blank space, waiting for someone to fill it in. As ancient mariners pushed beyond familiar shores, they looked upward for guidance. In this chapter, we uncover how the stars and celestial bodies became their silent companions on the open sea. Long before compasses or GPS, navigators learned to read the night sky like a map, identifying constellations, tracking the movement of the sun, and charting courses by the rising and setting of stars. Imagine a Phoenician captain, scanning the heavens for the North Star to hold a steady course, or a Polynesian wayfinder, memorizing intricate star paths that stretched across the Pacific. These ancient astronomers developed detailed knowledge of lunar cycles and planetary positions, transforming the sky into a living atlas. They passed this wisdom down through generations, encoded in chants, stories, and navigational charts woven from memory. Celestial navigation demanded patience, precision, and a deep connection to the rhythms of nature. It was a skill that could mean the difference between discovery and disaster, survival and oblivion. Even today, traces of their methods endure, reminding us that the sky above is more than just a backdrop. It's a roadmap that once guided humanity's greatest adventures across uncharted seas. The story of ancient navigation doesn't end with the past, it continues to shape our present and future. Today's mariners rely on GPS satellites and digital maps, but the principles first forged by ancient seafarers remain at the heart of navigation. The compass rose on every nautical chart, the division of the globe into latitude and longitude, and even the language of the sea all trace their roots to discoveries made thousands of years ago. In remote corners of the world, traditional navigation endures. Polynesian wayfinders still teach star-based voyaging, reviving ancient canoes and techniques to cross vast oceans without modern instruments. Naval academies teach celestial navigation as a backup skill, honoring the knowledge that once guided ships through darkness and uncertainty. Even astronauts venturing into space use star trackers, an echo of the same celestial cues used by their ancient counterparts. As we look to new frontiers, exploring the depths of the oceans or the vastness of space, the ingenuity of ancient navigators serves as a reminder. Their courage, curiosity, and connection to the natural world laid the foundation for every journey that followed. The legacy of ancient navigation is not just a story of the past, it's a living tradition, guiding us toward the horizons of tomorrow. But for all we've uncovered, ancient navigation still holds secrets that puzzle historians and scientists alike. How did early mariners traverse thousands of miles of open ocean with such precision, long before the compass or sextant? Researchers point to lost knowledge, subtle wave reading, animal behavior, or even magnetic senses that may have guided these journeys, but much remains speculation. Some artifacts, like the Antiquity mechanism, hint at a forgotten age of advanced engineering and astronomical calculation. Ancient maps, such as the Piri Reis, depict coastlines with uncanny accuracy, sparking debates about what was truly known and what has been lost to time. In legends and oral histories, there are tales of sunken islands, vanished trade routes, and civilizations whose navigational feats seem to defy explanation. Were their methods and instruments now buried beneath the waves, their secrets waiting to be rediscovered? As we continue to explore the mysteries of our world, the unsolved enigmas of ancient navigation invite us to imagine, investigate, and wonder. Each unanswered question is a reminder, the past still has stories to tell, and the spirit of discovery that drove the earliest sailors is alive in us today. Across the globe, a new generation of explorers is setting sail, not in search of new lands, but to rediscover the wisdom of the past. Modern expeditions are retracing the roots of legendary mariners, using reconstructed vessels built with traditional methods and materials. From Polynesian voyaging canoes crossing the Pacific guided only by stars and swells, to replicas of Viking longships braving the cold North Atlantic, these journeys are more than just reenactments. They are living experiments. Through these expeditions, navigators test ancient techniques, relying on hand-carved instruments, memory, and a deep connection to the natural world. Their successes and setbacks shed light on the remarkable skills of their ancestors and challenge our assumptions about what was possible long ago. Each voyage breathes new life into old knowledge, proving that the art of ancient navigation is not lost, but alive, waiting to be understood once again. As these modern sailors look to the horizon, they remind us that the journey of discovery is never truly finished. By walking in the footsteps, or sailing in the wake, of those who came before, we honor the ingenuity, courage, and curiosity that shaped our world. The secrets of the ancient seas may not all be solved, but their legacy continues to inspire those bold enough to seek them. While modern expeditions strive to revive the journeys of the past, there are communities across the world for whom ancient navigation is not a forgotten art, but a living tradition. In remote island villages, desert homelands, and coastal enclaves, knowledge passed down through generations continues to guide seafarers and travelers today. Master navigators, guardians of ancestral wisdom, teach their apprentices to read the pulse of the ocean, the dance of the winds, and the silent language of the stars. In the Pacific, Polynesian wayfinders gather beneath open skies, chanting stories of legendary voyages and tracing invisible pathways across the waves. In the Arctic, Inuit elders recall the subtle cues of drifting ice and animal migrations, guiding hunters safely home. Along the coasts of the Mediterranean, echoes of Phoenician and Greek techniques persist in local lore and practice. These keepers of tradition face new challenges. Climate change, modern technology, and shifting ways of life threaten to obscure their ancient knowledge. Yet, through cultural festivals, workshops, and dedicated schools, they work tirelessly to preserve and share their craft. Their efforts ensure that the art of ancient navigation is not just a subject of study or reenactment, but a living heritage, one that connects past, present, and future. As we marvel at the feats of ancient mariners and the explorers who follow in their wake, let us also honor those who have safeguarded this wisdom through the ages. Their stories remind us that the true compass of discovery lies not only in finding new horizons, but in cherishing and protecting the knowledge that guides us there. As we journey through the history and living traditions of ancient navigation, a profound lesson emerges, one that transcends maps and instruments. The spirit of exploration, embodied by mariners of old, is not just about discovering new lands, but about embracing curiosity, resilience, and a deep respect for the world around us. Ancient navigators ventured into the unknown with courage, relying on intuition, observation, and a harmonious relationship with nature. Today, as we face our own uncharted waters, be it in science, technology, or global challenges, the mindset of these early explorers offers powerful inspiration. Their ability to adapt, collaborate, and learn from the environment reminds us that progress is rooted not only in innovation, but also in humility and wonder. Modern explorers, scientists, and thinkers continue to draw from ancient wisdom, blending it with new ideas to chart the course ahead. The legacy of ancient navigation is a call to all of us, to look beyond what is familiar, to seek understanding across boundaries, and to value the knowledge passed down through generations. As we set sail into the future, may we carry forward the same spirit of curiosity and reverence that guided those who first crossed the vast and mysterious seas. Throughout the ages, the legacy of ancient navigation has been carried not only by charts and compasses, but through the stories whispered across generations. In remote island villages around flickering fires, elders recount tales of fearless voyagers who read the stars and sang to the sea. These narratives, woven into songs, chants, and legends, preserve the memory of journeys long past, navigators steering by the flight of birds, the shape of distant clouds, or the rhythm of the waves. Even today, these ancestral stories continue to inspire and instruct. In Polynesia, the art of wayfinding is passed from master to apprentice, not just as a skill, but as a living heritage. In the Mediterranean, echoes of Odysseus and Phoenician traders still ripple through coastal communities. These stories remind us that navigation is more than a technical feat. It is an expression of identity, connection, and hope. As we listen to these echoes across the waves, we are invited to honor the voices of the past and to recognize our place in the ongoing voyage of humanity. For every story told, a new journey begins, linking us across time and tide to the explorers who first dared to set sail into the unknown. As ancient mariners ventured further from familiar shores, the need to chart the vast and unpredictable oceans became ever more vital. Early navigation was guided by mental maps, intimate knowledge of coastlines, currents, and celestial cues committed to memory and shared through generations. But with each daring voyage, these invisible maps began to take physical form. In Egypt, fragments of papyrus reveal sketches of the Nile and its delta, while clay tablets from Babylon hint at the world as seen by river traders. In the Mediterranean, the Greeks and Phoenicians etched their understanding onto parchment, crafting some of the earliest known portolan charts. These maps were not always accurate by modern standards, but they were living documents, adapted and amended with each new discovery. Each storm survived. Across the Pacific, Polynesian wayfinders created stick charts, delicate frameworks of palm fiber and shells, encoding the patterns of swells and the positions of islands. These tactile maps were not meant for direct navigation at sea, but for teaching, remembering, and honoring the knowledge of those who came before. Each chart, whether drawn or woven, represents a leap of imagination, a way to render the unknown visible and to pass hard-won wisdom from one hand to the next. The evolution of ancient sea charts stands as a testament to humanity's enduring curiosity, and our relentless quest to make sense of the world beyond the horizon. While ancient sea charts and celestial maps have survived the ages, much of the world's earliest navigation wisdom traveled along invisible currents, carried by the spoken word. In countless coastal communities, navigation was not written, but sung, chanted, and woven into tales. Polynesian navigators memorized intricate star paths, reciting the rising and setting points of constellations in melodic chants passed down through generations. Along the African coast, fishermen shared stories of shifting sands and hidden reefs, using parables to teach safe routes to the next generation. In Scandinavia, sagas told of journeys across icy seas, embedding navigational cues within epic poetry. The rhythms of these oral traditions echoed the natural world, the pulse of waves, the sweep of the wind, the shimmer of starlight. These living libraries ensured that knowledge was never static but always adapting, as each new voyage brought fresh insights to the community's collective memory. Today, researchers and navigators alike look to these oral traditions not only as cultural treasures, but as vital keys to understanding the minds and methods of ancient mariners. Through the voices in the wind, we glimpse a world where navigation was more than a skill. It was a shared story, binding generations together across the endless blue expanse. Beneath the rolling waves and shifting sands lie the silent witnesses to ancient navigation, the shipwrecks, sunken ports, and submerged artifacts that hold the untold stories of early mariners. Underwater archaeology has emerged as a critical key to unlocking these mysteries, as divers and researchers explore the ocean's depths in search of forgotten vessels and lost cargoes. Each discovery, whether a Phoenician merchant ship off the coast of Malta, or an ancient anchor buried deep in the Aegean, offers a glimpse into the roots, technologies, and daily lives of those who once charted the unknown. Advanced sonar mapping and remotely operated vehicles now allow scientists to reach sites once thought inaccessible, revealing entire harbors swallowed by the sea and intricate trade networks that spanned continents. These underwater time capsules not only confirm the ingenuity of ancient navigators, but also challenge our assumptions about the scale and sophistication of their journeys. As we piece together these submerged puzzles, we draw ever closer to understanding the true scope of humanity's relationship with the ocean, and the enduring drive to explore its endless horizons. Long before GPS satellites and digital maps, one simple invention revolutionized the art of navigation: the magnetic compass. Emerging from ancient China as early as the Han Dynasty, the earliest compasses were nothing more than lodestone floating in water, quietly aligning themselves with the Earth's magnetic field. This small yet powerful tool soon found its way across trade routes to the Middle East and Europe, forever altering the fate of explorers and merchants alike. With the compass in hand, mariners could venture farther from sight of land, confident in their direction even beneath starless skies or thick fog. This breakthrough sparked a new era of exploration, opening up trade routes across treacherous seas and enabling legendary journeys that linked continents and cultures. The compass became both a symbol and a practical tool, guiding not just ships but human ambition itself. Today, the legacy of the ancient compass endures. It reminds us that sometimes the most profound transformations come from the simplest of ideas, quietly pointing the way forward across the vast, mysterious expanse of the ocean. Far from the bustling ports of the Old World, a remarkable tradition of navigation flourished across the endless blue of the Pacific. The Polynesian Wayfinders, masters of the world's largest ocean, charted courses between distant islands without maps or compasses, guided solely by the whispers of the stars, the rhythms of the waves, and the flight of seabirds. Generations of knowledge were memorized, not written, passed from navigator to apprentice in stories and chants. Wayfinders read the subtle cues of nature, the color of the water, the shape of passing clouds, and the feel of the wind on their skin. At night they steered by the rising and setting of familiar stars, each constellation a signpost in the sky. With nothing but double-hulled canoes and their deep understanding of the ocean's secrets, these navigators connected a vast network of islands, stretching from Hawaii to New Zealand to Easter Island. Their journeys are among the greatest feats of exploration in human history, a testament to the ingenuity and resilience of ancient mariners. Today, a new generation is reviving this ancestral wisdom, retracing ancient roots and reminding us that the spirit of exploration is as alive as ever, riding on the whispers of the stars. Long before the invention of compasses or written charts, ancient navigators looked to the living world for guidance. In every corner of the globe, seafarers watched the silent migrations of animals, nature's own navigators, to unlock the secrets of safe passage. Pods of dolphins, flocks of seabirds, and even the humble sea turtle became silent guides, their instinctual journeys hinting at hidden islands or nearby land. The flight paths of frigate birds rising at dawn, the sudden appearance of land-dwelling insects, or the calls of whales echoing across the water, all became clues, woven into the mariner's mental map. Fishermen in the Mediterranean would follow the seasonal patterns of fish, while Norse explorers watched for the circling of gulls to signal the proximity of shore. These animal instincts, refined over countless generations, offered reliable signs in an unpredictable world. By tuning into the rhythms of other creatures, ancient navigators not only survived but thrived, transforming the restless oceans into highways of discovery. Today, as we marvel at the science of migration, we can still learn from the wisdom of those who let nature's silent guides show the way. In the vast expanse of open water, vision alone was often not enough. For ancient mariners, sound became an invaluable companion, an invisible thread weaving between sea and sky. Before the days of sonar and radio, sailors attuned their senses to the subtle language of the waves. The crash of surf against unseen reefs, the distant roar of breakers on a hidden shore, or the muffled echoes of their own voices bouncing off coastal cliffs. These sounds became early warning signs and guides. In the fog-shrouded waters of the North Atlantic, Viking navigators would listen for the barking of seals or the calls of seabirds carried on the wind, clues that land was near. In the Pacific, Polynesian wayfinders learned to read the unique sound signatures of each island, the way waves refracted and echoed, revealing the presence of atolls and islets long before they could be seen. Even the changing pitch of the wind whistling through the rigging was a message, telling of shifting weather or approaching land. By perfecting the art of listening, ancient sailors unlocked another layer of the world's mysteries. Their journeys remind us that sometimes the most important guides are not what we see but what we hear, a lesson as relevant now as it was thousands of years ago. Long before compasses or detailed maps, ancient mariners learned to read the silent language of the sea's currents. They noticed how the ocean's invisible rivers, powerful, persistent, and ever-shifting, could carry their vessels across great distances or pull them far off course. Early sailors in the Mediterranean observed that certain routes were faster at specific times of year, guided by the steady push of the prevailing currents. In the Indian Ocean, the monsoon-driven currents dictated the timing of epic voyages between Africa, Arabia, and India, turning the sea into a highway for trade and cultural exchange. Polynesian navigators studied the swirling eddies and the subtle temperature changes in the water, sensing when they crossed from one current to another. They watched drifting debris, floating seaweed, and even the paths of swimming fish, all offering clues about the direction and strength of the flow beneath their boats. In the Atlantic, Norse explorers learned to use the Gulf Stream, its warmth and speed guiding their journeys to distant icy shores. By tuning into the ocean's own rhythms, these early explorers harnessed the power of the currents, transforming the unpredictable sea into an ally. Their mastery reminds us that ancient navigation was as much about understanding the world's hidden forces as it was about charting a course. Even today, the currents they followed continue to shape the movement of ships and the fate of those who dare to cross the open ocean. For ancient mariners, the ocean was more than just a vast expanse of water. It was a living, breathing entity, speaking in a language of waves and ripples. Long before sophisticated instruments, sailors learned to read the subtle patterns etched across the sea's surface. Swells rolling in from distant storms carried stories from far-off lands, their size, direction, and rhythm offering clues about what lay beyond the horizon. Polynesian wayfinders, renowned for their mastery, could feel the difference between multiple wave patterns beneath their canoes, discerning the presence of islands hundreds of miles away by the way waves reflected and refracted off unseen shores. In the Mediterranean and along the African coast, seasoned navigators watched for cross seas where two swell systems collided, signaling the meeting of different weather systems or the proximity of land. The color of the water, the texture of the surface, and the dance of foam all served as a silent script, written by the wind and the moon for those who knew how to read it. By attuning themselves to these watery signatures, ancient sailors transformed the unpredictable ocean into a map, charted not with ink, but with instinct and observation. This ancient art of listening to the sea's voice remains a testament to humanity's enduring relationship with the rhythms of the natural world. For all the skills, tools, and traditions passed down through generations, perhaps the most remarkable instrument of ancient navigation was the human mind itself. Out on the open sea, faced with shifting currents, unpredictable storms, and the endless horizon, mariners relied not only on their knowledge but on a deep, cultivated intuition, an instinct honed through years of experience and countless voyages. This intuition wasn't magic, but a complex blend of memory, pattern recognition, and a profound connection to the ocean's moods. Navigators would recall the taste of the air, the scent of approaching land, the subtle change in the pitch of the wind, or the way birds circled above the waves. Every decision, when to adjust course, how to interpret a sudden change in the swell, or when to trust a hunch, could mean the difference between safe landfall and disaster. Elders and master navigators often spoke of entering a state of heightened awareness, where the boundaries between self and sea seemed to blur. In this state, choices flowed naturally, guided by a sense of unity with the world around them. It was here, in the quiet space between knowledge and instinct, that the greatest feats of ancient navigation were achieved. Even today, modern sailors and scientists marvel at the depth of perception and decision-making displayed by their ancestors. The navigator's mind, shaped by the elements and sharpened by necessity, remains one of the most extraordinary legacies of humanity's journey across the seas. Dead reckoning, an ancient practice as mysterious as it is ingenious, stood at the heart of early navigation. Long before the age of precise instruments and digital charts, mariners charted their course by estimating their position, speed, and direction, relying on calculation, memory, and a keen sense of time. With no landmarks in sight and only the endless blue as their guide, sailors would track their progress by counting the rhythm of waves against the hull, marking the passage of hours by the sun's arc or the moon's gentle drift, and noting every shift in the wind. Mistakes could compound quickly, sending a vessel far off course. Yet through discipline and acute awareness, ancient navigators learned to see an invisible path across the water, a mental map built from observation and intuition. Small tokens such as knotted ropes or carved sticks helped record distance traveled, while careful logs captured every notable event. The art of dead reckoning was a testament to human ingenuity, an invisible thread connecting ship and shore, past and present. Today, even with satellites orbiting overhead, the principles of dead reckoning remain vital in navigation training. They remind us that sometimes the way forward is found not by what we see, but by what we remember, calculate, and trust within ourselves. Throughout history, the sea has often been portrayed as a realm governed by men. Yet, scattered across the tides of time are stories of remarkable women who took to the waves and mastered the art of navigation. From the legendary Viking shield maidens steering longships through icy fjords to Polynesian priestesses guiding canoes across the Pacific, women have long played pivotal roles in maritime exploration. Their contributions were frequently hidden in the shadows, passed down through whispered tales and family traditions. Recent discoveries, from ancient burial sites to oral histories, have begun to uncover the vital skills, knowledge, and leadership these women brought to their voyages. As we retrace their steps, we gain a richer, more inclusive understanding of the navigational legacy that shaped our world. Scene 23. The Iron Age Mariners. technological leaps across the waters. Emotion, 2 music epic, suspenseful, adventurous. The transition from the Bronze Age to the Iron Age marked a turning point in maritime history. Stronger tools and ship fittings revolutionized construction, allowing for larger, more robust vessels capable of braving longer journeys. Iron-tipped anchors, reinforced hulls, and innovative sail designs fueled a golden age of exploration and trade. These advancements, often overlooked in the shadow of ancient wonders, were as transformative as any monument. With each new innovation, mariners pushed further into the unknown, mapping coastlines and establishing connections that would shape civilizations for centuries. Scene 24, Under the Same Moon, navigating by tides and lunar cycles. Emotion, 2, music, calm, mysterious, rhythmic. Long before the science of tides was understood, ancient navigators observed the subtle dance between the moon and the sea. They noticed how the pull of the moon shaped the rise and fall of the tides, affecting everything from fishing to safe harbor entry. By watching lunar cycles, mariners could predict when currents would be strongest or when hidden sandbars might emerge. This knowledge, refined through generations, became essential for safe passage along treacherous coasts and through narrow straits. Even today, the moon's silent influence guides ships across the world's oceans, echoing ancient wisdom. Scene 25, The Silk Sea, trade routes linking east and west. Emotion, 2, music, exotic, flowing, percussive. While the Silk Road winds across vast continents, a parallel network, the Maritime Silk Road, unfurled across the seas. Ancient sailors braved the Indian Ocean, linking China, India, Arabia, and Africa in a web of commerce and cultural exchange. These routes were more than highways for goods. They were conduits for ideas, technologies, and stories. Navigators mapped monsoon winds and seasonal currents, transforming challenges into opportunities. The legacy of these ancient sea lanes can still be seen in the diverse cultures, languages, and cuisines flourishing along their shores. Scene 26, The Lighthouse Keepers, beacons through the ages. Emotion, 3, music, hopeful, steady, cinematic. From the towering pharaohs of Alexandria to humble fires atop coastal cliffs, lighthouses have long guided mariners home. In ancient times, these beacons were symbols of hope and safe passage, built and maintained by dedicated keepers whose vigilance saved countless lives. The light, sometimes flames, sometimes reflected sunlight, pierced fog and darkness, marking dangerous reefs and welcoming weary sailors. Today, as automated lights blink on distant shores, the spirit of those early keepers endures, reminding us of the simple power of a guiding light. Scene 27, The Secret Maps, hidden knowledge in ancient manuscripts. Emotion, 2, music, mysterious, scholarly, ambient. Long before the printing press, knowledge of navigation was recorded in precious manuscripts, often guarded by priests, scholars, or royal courts. These documents, sometimes written in code or adorned with cryptic symbols, contained vital information about stars, winds, and coastlines. Some maps, like the famous Piri Reis map, hint at knowledge lost to time, suggesting ancient mariners may have charted lands long before official history's record. Each rediscovered manuscript offers new clues, inviting us to rethink what we know about the world's first explorers. Scene 28, The Maritime Empires building power from the sea. Emotion, 2, music, grand, regal, orchestral empires rose and fell on the strength of their navies. From the Phoenicians to the Greeks and Romans, maritime prowess was essential for conquest and commerce. Shipyards became centers of innovation, and sea captains wielded power equal to generals. Control of the waves meant access to resources, new territories, and the ability to shape history. The echoes of these ancient maritime empires can still be traced in the ports, fortresses, and legends that dot our coastlines. Scene 29, The Sounding Line, measuring the unknown depths. Emotion, 2, music, deep, suspenseful, minimal. For ancient sailors, the ocean's depths were a source of awe and danger. The sounding line, a simple rope weighted with lead, offered a way to measure what lay beneath. By lowering the line and feeling for the bottom, mariners could avoid hidden shoals and find safe anchorage. The practice also revealed the texture of the seabed, helping navigators identify their position. Though humble, the sounding line was a lifeline, connecting ship to sea floor and transforming the unknown into the known. Scene 30, The Maritime Myths, legends born of the sea. Emotion, 4, music, mystical, dramatic, ethereal. Every culture that sailed the seas wove its own tapestry of myths, stories of sea monsters, enchanted islands, and gods who ruled the waves. These tales, passed from one generation to the next, served as both warnings and inspiration. They explained the unexplainable, offered comfort in the face of peril, and instilled respect for the ocean's power. Today, the line between myth and reality often blurs, reminding us that the sea's greatest mysteries are not always found on maps. Scene 31, The Age of the Star Compasses, Polynesian Navigational Mastery Emotion, 3 Music uplifting, tribal, rhythmic. Long before compasses pointed north, Polynesian navigators developed the star compass, a mental map of the heavens used to guide their epic voyages. By memorizing the rising and setting points of key stars, they could steer across thousands of miles of open ocean with uncanny accuracy. Their knowledge, passed down through chants and rituals, turned the night sky into a living guide. Today, the revival of wayfinding honors this extraordinary legacy and reveals just how much we still have to learn from the wisdom of the ancients. Scene 32, The Cartographers, Drawing the World Anew. Emotion, 2 Music, thoughtful, steady, exploratory. The first sea charts were more than navigational aids, they were works of art and acts of imagination. Ancient cartographers drew coastlines from memory, filled in uncharted regions with monsters or gods, and debated the shape of the world itself. Each map represented a leap of faith, a bridge between experience and the unknown. As new lands were discovered, charts grew ever more accurate, but the spirit of discovery remained at their heart, a testament to humanity's drive to make sense of the world. Scene 33, The Salt Road, Maritime Trade in Ancient Africa. Emotion, 2 Music, earthy, rhythmic. Traditional Africa's maritime history is rich and diverse, shaped by trade across the Red Sea, Mediterranean and Indian Ocean. Salt, gold, and spices flowed along these watery highways, linking distant kingdoms and cultures. African shipbuilders crafted sturdy vessels from local materials, while navigators mastered the art of reading winds and currents. Their stories, often overlooked, reveal a vibrant world of commerce, innovation and exploration, one that continues to influence global trade today. Scene 34, The Magnetic Mysteries, Early Compasses and Their Secrets. Emotion, 2 Music, intriguing, mechanical, minimal. The invention of the magnetic compass transformed navigation, but its origins are shrouded in mystery. Ancient Chinese mariners were among the first to harness the power of lodestone, using floating needles to find their way. The knowledge gradually spread westward, revolutionizing sea travel. Yet early compasses were imperfect, and learning to trust the needle took time. The story of the compass is a tale of curiosity, experimentation, and the quest for certainty in a world of shifting horizons. Scene 35, The Frozen Frontiers, Navigating the Arctic and Antarctic Emotion, 3 Music, cold, tense, atmospheric. The polar seas present some of the greatest challenges to navigation. Blinding fog, shifting ice, and magnetic anomalies test even the most experienced mariners. Ancient peoples, like the Inuit, developed ingenious methods for reading the land, ice, and sky, crafting tools from bone and stone to survive and thrive in these harsh environments. Their legacy lives on in the explorers who push into the frozen unknown, guided by the same spirit of adaptation and discovery. Scene 36, The Language of Knots, Communication and Survival. Emotion, 2 Music, subtle, percussive, practical. Knots are more than just practical tools. They are a language woven into the fabric of maritime life. Ancient sailors developed hundreds of knots for every purpose, from securing cargo to signaling distress. Some knots carried symbolic meaning, marking rites of passage or sealing agreements. The knowledge of knots, passed down through demonstration and repetition, remains a vital skill for mariners today, a living link to the ingenuity of the past. Scene 37, The Invisible Lines, Latitude, Longitude, and the Quest for Precision. Emotion, 2 Music, methodical, scientific, steady. For centuries mariners navigated without knowing their exact position. The development of latitude and longitude, imaginary lines etched onto the globe, revolutionized navigation. Determining latitude was relatively straightforward, but longitude remained elusive, sparking centuries of innovation and competition. The quest for precision led to the invention of the marine chronometer, transforming our relationship with time and space. Today, GPS satellites trace the same invisible lines, continuing humanity's pursuit of certainty at sea. Scene 38, The Sea People, Mysterious Mariners of the Mediterranean. Emotion, 3 Music, enigmatic, ancient, suspenseful. Around 1200 BCE, mysterious groups known as the Sea Peoples swept across the Mediterranean, leaving destruction and legend in their wake. Their origins remain debated, but their impact on ancient civilizations was profound. Archaeological finds suggest advanced shipbuilding and navigational skills, fueling speculation about their role in shaping maritime history. The story of the Sea Peoples is a puzzle with many missing pieces, inviting us to explore the shadows of the past. Scene 39, The Sound of the Bell. Timekeeping at sea. Emotion. To music, gentle, punctual, ambient. Time is as crucial to navigation as stars or charts. Ancient mariners used sandglasses, water clocks, and bells to mark the passage of hours, regulate watches, and coordinate daily routines. The ship's bell in particular became a symbol of order and discipline, its steady chime echoing across the waves. Even as technology advances, the rituals of timekeeping at sea endure, reminding us that every journey unfolds one moment at a time. Scene 40. The Spirit of the Canoe, Indigenous Wisdom and Waterways. Emotion. For music, soulful, organic, traditional. For many indigenous peoples, the canoe is more than a vessel. It is a symbol of identity, community, and harmony with nature. Crafted from local materials and guided by ancestral knowledge, canoes carried families, goods, and stories across rivers, lakes, and seas. Navigational skills were honed through observation, intuition, and respect for the water. Today, the revival of canoe traditions honors this deep connection, offering lessons in resilience, stewardship, and the power of collective memory. Scene 41. The Global Ocean. Modern discoveries and ancient routes. Emotion. 2. Music, modern, expansive, hopeful. In recent decades, new technologies have allowed us to trace ancient routes across the globe. Satellite imagery, underwater archaeology, and genetic studies reveal the astonishing reach of early mariners, from the settlement of remote Pacific islands to transoceanic contacts between distant continents. Every discovery deepens our appreciation for the skill, courage, and curiosity that drove ancient navigators to explore the world. The ocean remains a living archive, its currents carrying stories yet to be told. Scene 42, The Eternal Return, Cycles of Exploration and Rediscovery. Emotion 4, Music, uplifting, cyclical, triumphant. The story of navigation is a cycle of exploration, loss, and rediscovery. Each generation builds on the knowledge of those who came before, forging new paths while honoring ancient wisdom. As we look to the future, charting courses to distant planets or probing the ocean's deepest trenches, we are guided by the same questions that inspired the first mariners. What lies beyond the horizon? How do we find our way? The journey continues as endless and boundless as the sea itself. While the art of navigation often focused on finding the way across open waters, ancient mariners also faced the challenge of communicating across great distances. Before the age of radio or written messages, seafarers devised ingenious systems to send signals between ships and shore. From colored flags hoisted on masts to coordinated patterns of bonfires along coastlines, these methods conveyed warnings, instructions, and news of safe passage. In the Mediterranean, Greek and Phoenician fleets used distinctive flag codes to organize convoys and alert allies of approaching threats. In East Asia, beacon towers dotted the coast, where a single puff of smoke or flash of fire could trigger a chain reaction, relaying urgent messages hundreds of miles in mere hours. Even simple gestures, like the angle of a sail or the beating of a drum, became part of a silent language understood by those who traveled the waves. These early communication networks were vital for trade, defense, and survival. Though many of their secrets have faded with time, echoes of this maritime Morse code remain, reminding us that navigation was not just about knowing where you were, but also how to reach out across the vast and restless sea. Far to the north, where icy winds whip across gray waters, the Vikings carved their legacy as some of history's most intrepid navigators. Setting sail from Scandinavia in sleek, clinker-built longships, these seafarers braved the unpredictable North Atlantic to reach distant shores, from the British Isles and Iceland, all the way to Greenland and the edges of North America. But what made Viking navigation so formidable? Their techniques blended keen observation with practical ingenuity. Vikings read the sun's position through clouded skies using sunstones, crystals that polarized light and revealed the hidden sun. They watched seabirds, knowing that certain species never strayed far from land, and used the color of the water, drifting seaweed, and even the scent of the air to sense proximity to shore. Without compasses, they relied on their memory and oral sailing directions, handed down through generations, detailed descriptions of winds, currents, and coastal landmarks. At sea, Viking helmsmen used the lead line to gauge water depth and avoid hidden shoals, while their famed dragon-prowed ships, both sturdy and swift, allowed them to adapt to changing conditions in the open ocean. These ancient mariners combined courage, craftsmanship, and a profound respect for nature's signals. Their voyages did not just expand the map, they bridged worlds, proving that even the most forbidding seas could be tamed by those who dared to understand them. As ancient mariners mastered the art of navigation, their skills gave rise to something even more transformative, the world's earliest trade routes. Guided by celestial bodies, shifting winds, and the silent language of the sea, these navigators linked distant cultures, forging connections that would shape the course of history. From the fabled Silk Road of the waters, where Arabian, Indian, and Chinese sailors crossed the Indian Ocean, to the Mediterranean's intricate network of Phoenician, Greek, and Roman merchants, navigation became the invisible thread weaving together continents. Ships laden with spices, silk, precious metals, and ideas followed the reliable monsoon winds, while coastal pilots memorized every bend, reef, and harbor along their journeys. These ancient trade routes were more than just pathways for goods. They carried stories, technologies, and dreams across the waves. The knowledge exchanged in bustling port cities kindled new innovations in shipbuilding and mapmaking, while fostering cultural encounters that would echo for centuries. The legacy of these navigational feats lives on in the global networks we rely on today. Every shipping lane and maritime highway traces its origins to the bold mariners who first charted the unknown, proving that the urge to explore, connect, and trade is as old as the stars themselves. Long before compasses and star charts, mariners turned to something both powerful and intangible, myth and legend. Ancient sailors wove tales of sea monsters, enchanted islands, and guardian spirits into their navigational lore, transforming the unknown into a map of stories. These legends were more than bedtime tales. They acted as mnemonic guides, warning of hidden shoals, treacherous currents, and the boundaries of the known world. In the Mediterranean, the Odyssey was more than a poem. It was a mariner's guidebook, its fantastical islands echoing real navigational hazards and landmarks. In the Pacific, Polynesian wayfinders told of the trickster Maui fishing up new lands, encoding vital knowledge about currents and star paths in their myths. Norse sagas spoke of sea serpents and the edge of the world, blending cautionary tales with practical wisdom about fog, ice, and sudden storms. These stories shaped the routes mariners dared to take, and the ones they avoided. They gave meaning to the vast, unpredictable ocean, offering comfort and courage on journeys into the unknown. To navigate by myth was to trust the wisdom of ancestors, and to see the sea not as a void, but as a living tapestry of memory, hope, and imagination. Today, as we chart our own courses, we carry echoes of these ancient legends, reminders that every journey is part story, part science, and wholly human. For ancient mariners, the greatest adversary was not always the unknown, but the relentless forces of nature. The open sea was a stage for sudden tempests, unpredictable winds, and towering waves that could test even the most seasoned navigators. Storms could appear without warning, turning calm waters into maelstroms of chaos, while long periods of dead calm left sailors stranded, their fates tied to the mercy of the wind. Beyond the weather, mariners contended with fog that erased the horizon, reducing visibility to mere feet and transforming familiar routes into dangerous puzzles. Powerful ocean currents could carry ships far off course, while hidden reefs and shifting sandbanks threatened disaster just beneath the surface. Even the sun itself could become an enemy, blinding eyes, scorching skin, and sapping strength during long days at sea. Ancient navigators learned to read the subtle signs, a change in the color of the water, the flight of seabirds, or the scent of land carried on the breeze. They developed rituals and superstitions to appease the spirits they believed controlled the weather, hoping for safe passage. Surviving these environmental challenges required not just skill, but resilience and adaptability, a testament to human ingenuity in the face of nature's unpredictable might. Today, as we marvel at the achievements of these early explorers, we remember that every successful voyage was not just a triumph of navigation, but a victory over the wild, untamed forces of the ancient seas. As ancient sailors braved the wild and unpredictable seas, their survival depended not just on their navigational skills, but on the very vessels that carried them. The evolution of shipbuilding became a silent partner in the story of navigation, shaping the destinies of entire civilizations. Early boats, carved from hollowed logs or woven from reeds, hugged coastlines and rivers, limited by their fragility and size. But as mariners pushed the boundaries of the known world, necessity sparked innovation. From the sturdy double-hulled canoes of the Polynesians to the agile Greek triremes and the imposing Roman galleys, shipwrights across the globe experimented with new materials, hull shapes, and sail designs. Each breakthrough unlocked new possibilities: deeper keels for stability in rough seas, broader beams for carrying more cargo, and complex rigging systems that harness the power of shifting winds. The development of the sternpost rudder in ancient China and the addition of multiple masts in the Mediterranean revolutionized steering and speed, allowing ships to venture farther and return home safely. Shipbuilding and navigation advanced hand in hand. Every innovation in design enabled longer journeys, while every new navigational challenge inspired further refinement. The story of ancient navigation is inseparable from the story of the ships themselves, crafted by human hands, guided by human ambition, and forever changed by the ceaseless quest to explore the vast unknown. Across the centuries, the art of navigation was never written solely in the lines of a map or the shape of a ship. Its true legacy was carried in the minds and memories of those who ventured out to sea, and in the hands of those who taught them. In fishing villages, bustling harbors, and island communities, elders gathered the young to share secrets of the stars, the winds, and the shifting tides. Stories were told by firelight, songs echoed across the waves, and gestures traced invisible routes in the sand. From Polynesian wayfinders memorizing star paths, to Mediterranean pilots passing down guarded routes, the transmission of knowledge became a sacred trust. Apprentices learned not just by listening, but by watching, practicing, and failing under the watchful eyes of seasoned navigators. Riddles, chants, and rituals embedded vital information, ensuring that even when storms erased physical markers, memory would guide the way. This living tradition wove together generations, each sailor adding their own discoveries, each teacher shaping the next. The ocean remained ever-changing, but the chain of knowledge endured, unbroken. Through this timeless bond, ancient navigation became more than a skill. It became a heritage, one that still flows like a current from the past into the future. In the digital age, where satellites and screens guide our every move, a quiet revolution is unfolding on the water. Across the globe, explorers, scholars, and passionate sailors are reaching back into the depths of history, seeking to revive the forgotten arts of ancient navigation. Lost techniques once buried in myth and memory are being pieced together from weathered manuscripts, oral histories, and the wisdom of the last living practitioners. On remote islands and in bustling research labs, teams reconstruct the methods of their ancestors. They study the way Polynesian voyagers read the swell and the flight of birds, how Arab navigators followed the rhythm of the stars, and how Norse seafarers sensed landfall by the scent of the wind. Experimental voyages set out with no modern instruments, relying only on the sun, the stars, and instinct, testing the knowledge that once bridged continents and shaped civilizations. These rediscoveries are more than academic exercises. They reconnect communities with their cultural roots, inspire new generations of navigators, and remind us that the sea's mysteries are never truly lost, only waiting to be found again. As ancient techniques resurface, the boundaries between past and present blur, and the spirit of exploration is renewed. In the hands of today's pioneers, the wisdom of the ancients sails once more, charting new horizons for all who dare to navigate by heart and memory. Beneath the science and skill of ancient navigation lies a deeper current, a world where journeying across the seas was not just a feat of intellect, but a sacred rite. For many ancient cultures, navigation was inseparable from spiritual belief. Mariners called upon deities of wind and water, offering prayers and rituals before venturing into the unknown. Polynesian wayfinders traced their lineage to the gods, believing each voyage was guided by ancestral spirits riding the waves beside them. On the decks of Egyptian ships, incense burned and chants rose to honor Osiris, protector of the Nile and the afterlife. Norse seafarers carved runes into their vessels, invoking the favor of Odin for safe passage through stormy northern seas. In the Indian Ocean, the reading of omens, birds on the horizon, the color of the dawn sky, was as vital as any map or instrument. These rituals did more than seek protection. They forged a bond between navigator and nature, instilling respect for the ocean's power and mystery. Each journey became a living myth, where the boundaries between the mortal and the divine blurred with every swell and shifting star. Today, as we rediscover the technical brilliance of ancient navigation, we also glimpse the reverence and wonder that animated those early mariners, a reminder that for many, every voyage was a pilgrimage, and every horizon a threshold between worlds. Even as the world uncovers the remarkable achievements of ancient navigators, countless questions still drift unanswered across the tides of history. How did mariners chart such vast distances with such accuracy, long before the compass or modern maps? What secrets are held in the lost languages of seafaring peoples, their knowledge encoded in symbols and stories now fading with time? Archaeologists continue to puzzle over enigmatic artifacts, star-shaped stones, intricate carvings, and celestial diagrams, whose true purposes remain shrouded in mystery. Did forgotten civilizations master navigation techniques that have yet to be rediscovered? Were there transoceanic contacts long before recorded history, leaving traces and shipwrecks buried beneath the waves? Some legends hint at advanced knowledge, hidden islands, magnetic anomalies, and ancient maps that seem to defy what we know. Each new discovery raises more questions than answers, reminding us that the ocean still keeps many of its secrets. The enduring mysteries of ancient navigation invite us to look beyond the horizon, to imagine the ingenuity and courage of those who sailed into the unknown. In the end, these unanswered questions are not just puzzles of the past, they are invitations to explore, to wonder, and to keep seeking the stories the sea has yet to reveal.